Liebe Mitbürgerinnen und Mitbürger, chers compatriotes, cari concittadini, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, Sawadee Krap, and welcome to today's online town hall meeting of the Swiss Embassy in Bangkok. My name is Pedro Zwalen. I'm the ambassador of Switzerland to Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos PDR. Today, we will discuss the subject of buying and renting real estate in Thailand. Kann ich als Schweizer in Thailand eine Wohnung oder ein Haus kaufen? Worauf muss ich gern achten? Auf was muss ich aufpassen, wenn ich wirklich eine Wohnung oder ein Haus kaufen in Thailand? Est-ce que je peux acheter un appartement ou une maison en Thaïlande comme un Suisse, comme un étranger? Et à quoi est-ce que je dois faire attention? I have the pleasure of welcoming a distinguished group of 4 panelists today, from whom we want to learn and try to find out more what we have to take care of if we want to buy a home, apartment or a house here in Thailand as a foreigner. May I introduce Mr. Luca Bernardinetti. He's an experienced lawyer, managing partner at Mahanakorn Partners Group here in Bangkok. Ms. Werinorn Manphan. She's counsel at Mahanakorn Partners Group. Then to my right, to my outer right, Mr. Gerald Enright, managing director at Remax Executive Homes. And last but not least, Mr. Josef Schnyder. Most of you will know him already. He is a real estate owner in Thailand, Swiss, and he is an elected representative of the organization of the Swiss abroad, long-standing partner of the embassy, and well known for his advice he's giving to the Swiss community in many different respects. So thank you all for joining us here today. Buying and renting property in Thailand. The rules applying to foreigners and the practical steps to become a property owner are frequent concerns voiced by the Swiss community. And as an embassy, we cannot provide legal or real estate advice ourselves. But what we can do is creating a platform where qualified professionals can share their insights, their experience, and their guidance. And this is what we like to do, ladies and gentlemen, for you today here at the Swiss Embassy. To begin, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Gerald Enright, Managing Director of Remax Executive Homes, and he will provide us a general overview of the real estate market for foreigners in Thailand. So, dear Gerald, what is your view of that situation? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ambassador Zwalen. I think when it comes to real estate, Thailand is a big place, actually, and it's a very diverse market. So you go from very condensed Bangkok downtown areas to outskirts that are almost buried in the jungle. So when we look at real estate, we might need to break it down into different areas, because each kind of type of real estate will have its own attribution, its own pros and cons. But overall, the questions we want to answer for anyone wanting to buy or rent is where. That's sometimes a tough question. We don't know right away, right? What is it that you want? Are you looking for a detached house, a condo, land? All these have different legal ramifications as well. Why do you want it? You want it to live in, to be a home, a retirement home maybe, or a part-time home with your kids for a year or two? Each of these different purposes, investment is another reason to say I want to buy a property. I meet a lot of people who say it's investment that they're after.
Oh, yeah?
Mine too. I'm an investor as well. It's understanding the legal framework, but also, in addition, buying the wrong property for your goals is where I see most people fall down. They fall in love with the property, but it's not well situated for their goal. So they say, I want to invest, but they want to invest in a place that's difficult to rent. So as experts in the field, especially we're based in downtown Bangkok, I see that when you buy, there's certain areas that are going to rent better than others as an investment. There's certain areas that are going to give a better lifestyle as a place to live. So I think it's the why you're going to buy it and what you want to buy.
So aligning actually the idea you have with the real estate you're after is not so easy at the beginning, maybe, or sometimes mistakes happen there.
I think it's an interesting road to walk, full of pitfalls. And for me, it's a big amount of money to make a mistake on. So it's not as simple as going to the grocery store and buying the wrong fruit. It's making a careful decision. Now, that's one of the goals that we have at RE/MAX, is to help people avoid any pitfalls and to make sure it matches to what they want to achieve, like whether it's a rental property or a home. We will look at that, even small things like what street in Bangkok may flood in the flooding season. If you don't have a local expert, it's hard to know. So these kind of things. I'd also say the fourth question people have is how much. So we're looking at where should I buy, what should I buy, why am I buying it, and how much? How much am I going to spend? How much am I going to get as an investment, perhaps? What should I expect? So I wanted to look at maybe breaking things down into three general categories, like major urban centers. So we're talking about Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket maybe, even though it's a holiday destination. That's one to look at. Bangkok in itself is a microcosm. On one side of the river is a whole different market than on this side of the river. A house in an outskirts, I will use names like Lat Pral. People may say it looks good, but if your goal is to rent it, it's not a good option. So there's those kind of things to look at. And looking at, so that's urban centers. Then we look at what I would call like holiday destinations. This is a different thing. Many people dream of a house by the beach. I did. So the question being, is that the same as Bangkok? And absolutely not. It's a different market. The prices look a lot like Bangkok, but what you get for the money, very different in square meters, for example. Interesting enough.
So it's bigger?
Bigger in square meters, yeah, you get more.
Bigger on the beach,
more square meters per your dollar or euro. What else do we have? Then, so these are places like Hue Hin, Phuket, Pattaya, Samui. So if you dream to be by the beach, that requires certain considerations. The other area to look at is rural areas, what we call upcountry here. These are cities where you won't find many foreigners. And what are the challenges that you're going to face if you choose to go live there, rent, or buy there? It's often naive that people come in and say, I want the real Thai life, the real Thai experience. And they don't know what they're signing up for. It can be quite different than what we're used to at home. So although it sounds enchanting, it can be challenging.
For example?
Just speaking, communicating. If you don't speak Thai and you end up in a rural village, you may not be able to talk to the shop owner, the restaurant owner, your neighbors. It can be quite isolating as well. So you need to think about those kind of things in there. So in general, I think if we look at like cities like Bangkok, probably you will find the highest pricing. And it's not the highest ROI, but it's probably the most stable ROI that you're going to get.
ROI, can you?
Rental yield and return on investment.
Okay.
So I bundle them together, but I really should separate them. Rental yield is how much of the capital, how much you spent, should you get every year in rent.
Okay.
Right? And there's capital appreciation, which is how much is my property going up every year. Bangkok appreciation is pretty good. But the margin that you're going to get on rentals is going to be a little bit lower. And then you look at, even within Bangkok, same street, a new build versus a secondhand property. So in general, secondhand property is about 30% cheaper than a new build. You're going to always pay a premium on a new build from a developer. You get a beautiful place, all decked out. But is it the best investment? That again comes down to personal goals, what they want, and lifestyles. But I think that might be one of the hidden gems, always is for me. When I invest, I always buy secondhand. I never buy off plan. But that just suits me because I'm here and able to look after the properties.
So the hidden gem might be somewhere where it is secondhand.
Maybe needs some touch up, you know. And also, like, you might want to renovate. The other thing is the size of the unit when it comes down to Bangkok. If you look at one-bedroom studios, there's a huge, in my opinion, oversupply in the market.
And does that reflect on the prices enough?
Not much.
Not much. Okay.
People are always aspiring to get the most they can. Developers will lower the price because they want to liquidate their holdings and put it into the next project. But you'll get a better, if you, for example, buy a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, you're going to have a more and more scarce product if you want to rent it out. And you end up with more and more stable renter. The bigger the family, the less they're going to move. So studio stuff, so many, and there's the tenant tends to jump around. Whereas if you have a 4-bedroom, it's a scarcer product.
Okay.
You tend to keep your tenant if your goal is to live in it. So
now you have mostly an investor's perspective, of course. I guess many Swiss here in Thailand will consider that aspect as well. But if somebody wants to buy, particularly to live in Thailand, when you compare these two objectives, what do you think people should mostly be careful of, investing or for private use?
Which one is more risk inherent? I would say probably investing, because private use, you're not expecting a return. So if you find a place you're happy in, it's okay, right?
As long as you get along with neighbors, etc., what you mentioned before, right. That's the personal risk, yeah.
If you're doing it for investment, then you're looking at saying, am I going to achieve my investment goals? It puts extra pressure on that person. So when you don't get a tenant, you feel bad in that respect. What else? I think I'm running out of time, but maybe some quick...
we will get back with questions anyway, so that's not a problem. But please, yes, please.
Quick note, standard terms on renting is 1 year with 2 months deposit, 1 month in advance. So that's often a question foreigners have. Is the landlord treating me right? These are our standard terms. The other thing on buying, very hard to get finance in Thailand. So if you're not coming with cash or coming with finance from your home country, Thai banks do not easily lend to foreigners.
But the whole renting industries, which you are obviously interested in as an investor, is that easy here? Is that not complicated? As a foreigner, you're allowed to rent your properties properly, nearly like a Thai, or how is that working?
Yes. Yeah. There's no distinction in my mind. Maybe I will be corrected by my colleagues to my left, but if you own a property legally, you can rent it legally. And there is no distinction there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's a great introduction, I think. Many questions you might not automatically ask yourself. Here you go. You have a list of questions. Please ask them yourself before you go into the adventure. So thank you very much for this introduction, Kun Gerald. We'll now move to the legal perspective. I would like to invite our two panelists from Mahanakorn Partners Group, Mr. Luca Bernardinetti, Managing Partner, and Ms. Werinorn Manphan, Counsel, to present maybe some typical situations that foreigners may encounter when buying or renting property in Thailand, and to explain the key legal aspects that need to be considered. So, dear Luca, dear Werinorn, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Zwale, and thanks to the Embassy of Switzerland. Guten Tag, bonjour, buongiorno to everyone listening. And yes, there are some pitfalls, as my predecessor highlighted, and when buying properties in Thailand, and there are restrictions for foreigners who are not entitled to buy landed properties. We have quite a few, I would say, points that we'd like to cover. There's a lot of ground to be covered, little time, so we'll try to be as fast as possible. First of all, there are foreign ownership restrictions. Foreigners can only buy condominiums. They can have freehold ownership rights over condominiums, but they're not entitled to purchase landed properties. They can also buy buildings. There are several laws in Thailand that govern investment in properties, whether condominiums, industrial, commercial, real estate, or landed properties such as houses. The condominium ownership is governed by the Condominium Act 2522. Although foreigners are not entitled to own land and houses, they can still be entitled to own the structure which is built upon the land. So I might, for example, be entitled to own a house, but not the land upon which the house is built, but I cannot own a freehold house. I can only own a lease. There are
freehold meaning? Can you explain briefly?
Freehold and leasehold are the two types of ownership structures. A freehold means that it's in perpetuity, so forever the owner and my descendants, my heirs, my children will also own the property. Mm-hmm. A leasehold has a term.
Okay.
So normally in Thailand you have a 30 years, which is renewable, plus 30, but I will outline a few caveats to that rule. Again, there are a few laws governing investment in real estate. Today probably we're dealing with residential, but there are also commercial and industrial, so there are different laws depending on what type of investment foreigners want to complete in Thailand. There's, for example, the Town Planning Act of 2019, which subdivides different zones. So the zoning is within commercial, residential, infrastructure zones. Building Control Act of 1979, it's a pretty outdated law. And there are other regulations that govern, for example, how I want to build a house on a plot of land. I have to comply with environmental regulations as well. An important point that I made earlier is that foreigners cannot normally own landed property. So, for example, if I were to, as a foreigner, buy a house in Thailand, I have several options. The normal way is that of having a leasehold contract. So I may, for example, own the house, but someone else, a Thai national, would own the land. Now, when I say Thai national, this is the most common and straightforward structure. Some people rely on companies to buy land. We have a case study, actually 4 today, and we would not recommend to do so for a number of reasons I'm going to highlight. The lease term is 30 years. It's very important to highlight that the leasehold must be registered at the local land department, because unless it's registered, it's only valid for 3 years, regardless of the length of the leasehold. So even though I would expect to be the owner of a house for 30 years, if it's not properly registered at the land department, my lease will expire in 3 years. Now, renewals are not automatic. There was also a Supreme Court decision this year that confirmed the rule. The most lawyers, Thai lawyers, my colleagues know that after the initial 30 years, you may apply for a renewal 2 times. So it will be plus 30 up to 90 years, but it's not automatic and it's not guaranteed that it would be granted. So this is also something to be considered. So again, there are many other structures. I think we will delve into the different options that foreign investors have with a case study. So we'll stop here. Inheritance, succession, and minors is something that we want to cover as well today, because we have many clients from Switzerland that buy property here. They request our assistance in drafting a last will that is enforceable upon the property that they buy in Thailand. They want to make sure that their children will also be the beneficiaries of their estate. And so what are the limitations? Well, according to the Land Code, paragraph 94, foreigners are not entitled to ownership of a property that is on land. So let's say if I have my Thai wife, we own a house and she is the owner. So if we pass and our children have only Swiss nationality, for example, they're not allowed to own the land. They have 1 year to sell the land.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Again, if they're minors, they need to have a legal guardian, so this is something that must be done in advance. And there will be a court order to approve any disposition of the estate. So if I want to sell, let's say that the guardian wants to sell the property, they must seek the approval of the court, and the court must deem the sale in the best interest of the minor. I would say that, okay, there are many considerations in terms of taxes, but I think we can skip that for the moment. Because it's pretty complicated, really depending on the type of land, the appraisal, again, there are many exemptions as well. We can walk you through it, probably, if there is any interested listener today. But I would go into the nitty-gritty. So I would like to, first of all, cover, if I buy a property as a foreigner, say I'm a Swiss national, I buy a house or I buy a condo, what can I do? How can I purchase it? Do I need to wire funds from overseas to buy it in foreign currency? The answer is yes. There is a form that I need to present together with a number of other documents. This is called Foreign Exchange Transaction Form. Normally, bank transfers are made in foreign currency, so funds are wired into Thailand. The reason which must be declared on the bank transfer itself is for the purchase of a specific unit of a condominium or another property. So this must be indicated. Is it necessary to transfer funds from overseas to buy a property which is built on land, such as house? Well, the answer is no. It's not mandated by law, but it's highly recommended. Why? Because if I decided to resell the property in the future, I am allowed to send the proceeds of the sale back to Switzerland, but it's much easier if I have this FET, foreign exchange transaction form, with the correct purpose of the, let's say, the remittance. So, for example, 5 years prior, I bought a house together with my Thai wife in Thailand. I have wired, let's say, 1 million Swiss francs into Thailand. I can show to the revenue department, to the land department, that actually the funds were remitted into Thailand for the sole purpose of purchasing this property, and I'm entitled to send them back to Switzerland after I sell the property.
Okay.
There are a few tax considerations. For example, withholding tax, normally 1%, very quickly. Specific business tax, 3.3%. If the house is sold or the property is sold within 5 years, stamp duty is 0.5%. And if I buy with a company, there will be corporate tax as well. These are all considerations that we're going to cover together with my colleague Werinorn when we're going to delve into the case studies. So without further ado, I would like to pass it to my colleague Werinorn, who's going to elaborate on one of the cases, specifically buying a luxury condominium in Bangkok or Pattaya.
Thank you, Luca. For the scenario one that we prepare for the listener, right? If you are the foreigner and you would like to purchase the condominium, whether in Bangkok, in Pattaya, or in the other city, apart from the foreign restriction that Luca said, the foreigner can buy the condo, right? But you still have to follow to the 49% rule. It means that under the Condominium Act, the foreigner can own the condominium unit, only 49% of the total saleable area. So before you purchase any condominium unit, you have to recheck with the developer whether the foreign quota is still available or not. And we also would like to highlight that if you using the foreign quota, you must also use the money from the overseas to purchase the condominium unit. That means the money in overseas have to transfer in Thailand in the foreign currency, and you must obtain the FET form, which this document will be used in the registration process afterward. Apart from that, I would like to highlight something about before you purchase any property in Thailand, even for the condominium unit, you have to do the due diligence check. There are many projects in Thailand, like the off-plan project, that you have to recheck whether the developer they already apply for the construction permit properly, and did the construction permit plan have been approved with the government authority or not. So this one can be checked before. And if sometimes you buy the property from the existing owner, like the second hand, right, you have to recheck whether the previous owner they already settled on the unpaid common fee or electricity or water bill already. And when you're talking about if you already own the condominium and you would like to rent it out, can you do it? So the answer is depend on whether you do it just one unit or 2 units that you have, or you do it at the business purpose. If some foreigner they purchase many condominium and do for the business purpose like Airbnb, right? This one is prohibited because for the business purpose they have to foreigner cannot do it. But they have to like setting up the company, do it legally, obtain all the license like the hotel license and foreign business license. And talking back when we say that the money have to come from the overseas, right? The question may be sometimes, can the foreigner asking for the credit facility from the bank to purchase the condominium? Normally it's possible, but when the bank they would like to release the fund, right? They will asking for the long-term visa and the work permit to prove that the foreigner have been living in Thailand and have like the capacity to repay the loan.
I see there are many different constructs, of course, and each one has its own legal challenges. We have many retired people here, many retired Swiss in Thailand. So let me ask you just one specific example. A retired person wants to buy 2 apartments. One he wants to live in and the other he wants to rent, so that he gets a little bit of additional money and investment. So he's actually doing half investment like Gerald said, and half just to live here. Is that possible? Is that complicated? And how would that work out?
You mean how we can assist them in structure the...
You said if somebody buys for business purposes, then he might have to set up a company, etc., if it is for Airbnb, etc. But if he only buys 2 condos, one he wants to live and the other next door he wants to rent, does he have the same complications or is that easier?
Foreigners can actually buy properties and rent them out, provided they have a tenancy agreement.
Yeah.
So it must be registered at the land department. I myself have properties that I bought as an individual and I'm leasing them out.
Yeah.
So as long as you register that, you pay your taxes, that's fine. You don't need any specific business license for doing that as an individual.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So that confirms what Gerald said. He feels treated as a foreigner actually the same way like in Thai.
Exactly.
In such a respect.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Please, I let you continue.
I have a second case. We have 1 each, and we have 4 in total. So the Werinorn outline what happens when a foreigner wants to buy a condominium unit. There's no problem whatsoever as long as there is still availability for the quota, 49% of the whole building. What if they want to buy a townhouse, for example, in Bangkok or anywhere else? Well, I heard many that told me, well, I read on the newspaper that actually foreigners can buy land in Bangkok or Pattaya now. Well, the answer is there has been an update according to which foreigners there's a narrow exemption. According to section 49 bis of the land code, most foreigners can own up to 1 rai, which is about 1,500 square meters of land, for residential purposes, but this is basically something that is subject to the discretion of the land department. It's never been the case in the past 3 years. It's very complicated, and again, it's not really an option. So, what are the options then? The most common option is the leasehold, as I mentioned earlier. So you can actually purchase the construction on a land with a leasehold, which is 30 years. it must be registered at the land department. As I mentioned earlier, penalty is that it would expire after 3 years. We had a case of a leasehold that expired because they did not register that. And then they had to renegotiate all the terms with the landlord. It was a nightmare, but it was a very straightforward thing to do.
So sorry for interrupting, dear Luca, but to the audience.
Yes.
If you embark on such an adventure, clarify the rules, exactly, and then follow the rules, and don't miss any deadlines, otherwise a nightmare will follow.
Exactly. Follow the rules. It's pretty straightforward. It is possible. It's doable. But do it right from the outset, from the start. There are other ways. Some of our clients, Swiss or otherwise, come to us with the idea, for example, purchasing property with a company. Now I say, well, if I have a Thai company, I can buy properties, I can buy land. The answer is yes, but refrain from a nominee structure. Nominee structures are illegal in Thailand. And what does it mean? If you want to buy a property in Thailand, you have not only, you don't have to only comply with the Foreign Business Act, but also with the Land Code. Foreign Business Act says that a company must be Thai, which is the majority of the shares must be held by a Thai national. But if you want to buy a property, the Land Code also specifies that the head count of Thai shareholders must be higher than the foreign shareholders. And they must have an economic interest in the venture. So if it's a business just to purchase a house, clearly with no other, let's say, activity that is registered under the Ministry of Commerce, then this would be illegal. Mm-hmm. So we would strongly recommend to refrain from using this structure. What happens if let's say the government finds out? They may seize the asset, they may seize the land and the property. So it may be left with nothing. Other options is Thai spouse. So there might be some Swiss nationals with a Thai spouse, in which case, let's say we have, in our case study, Mrs. B married with a Thai national. Her husband would be the person in whose name the house is registered, and she may have a lifelong usufruct. So there are other rights that can be built upon this property. Usufruct is the right to use the property. It can only be for a lease, for example, for 30 years or for the lifetime. There can be superficies rights, which means that I have the right to use and or alter the property is built upon this land. So I can build a new property if I have superficies right. There are many other rights that can be construed around this property. These are, however, rights that are personal rights that cannot be transferred. So let's say if Mrs. B is a Swiss national with a Thai husband, she passes, her children, if they don't have a Thai passport, are not entitled to have the usufruct. They're not entitled to have ownership, and they're not entitled to superficies. So these are personal rights. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So additional checks that we would recommend are verify the title deed type. If it's the Chanot, for example, which is a title deed for property. Check if there are any, for example, liens or encumbrances, for example, mortgage on a property. Confirm that there's a building permit for that property. And assess the boundaries. For example, it's very important because maybe I have singled out a beautiful plot of land. I can buy it, I can own it through, let's say, my Thai wife, but I have not checked that, not done my due diligence, as Werinorn mentioned. So, for example, I don't have the use of the road that leads to this land. Oh. So this could be one of the big mistakes. That would be a trap. Big mistake. So again, check everything from the outset to avoid these other problems. Again, scenario number 3.
We still have time, right?
No problem. We go into overtime a bit of this set, but we will take longer than 1 hour for the total. We can do that.
In the first scenario, the foreigner would like to purchase condominium unit, right? In this scenario, how about if the foreigner don't want to purchase it, just rent it for the short-term period. As Kun Luca said before, that if the lease term is over 3 years, you have to register with the land department, right? And some people, like the owner of unit condominium, maybe they would like to avoid the registration fee, the government fee to pay at the land department, and they would like to offer just the short-term period of the lease agreement. So even it does not have to register with the land department, it still have to affix with the stamp duty. So this lease agreement will consider legally binding. Everyone sign in the agreement, right? And then you have to bring the agreement to have stamp duty affixed with the revenue department as well.
So these elements here you're explaining, do I understand correctly that they are important if I want to stay several years in the same apartment and I want to be sure that I cannot be kicked out? That's why I need to register and make sure that everything is going well. Because if I come here as a student or just for a few months, I will probably not ask any questions and just ask the owner whether he wants to rent me his home and how much he wants per month, right?
Yeah. You will not know there's gonna be the problem about not affix the stamp duty, right? Until there is like the dispute between you and the owner, and you bring this document to the court. But the court will not accept the agreement without stamp duty as the evidence in the court. So at that time, you will realize that okay, you have to do the stamp affixation since the beginning that you sign the lease agreement. And when you do,
so what kind of problem can affect people if they don't follow these procedures properly? I mean, you say if there is a dispute, but what is the scenario? Let's say, am I right? I mean, the Swiss national, he brought all his property here, he moved into the home and he wants to stay there, and then the landowner thinks, I can rent it for a higher price, I kick out that guy and rent it to somebody else. And then he wants to defend himself, and then the stamp duty is not paid, and then he has the problem. Is this a scenario we are talking about, or?
The most important thing is the foreigner must have the written, right? The written document, the contract. In the contract should say every important cost, like the monthly rental, the right to the termination right, and what is the obligation of the lessee, and what is the right of the lessor, and to be assured that everything that after you lease this property, and if there is any dispute, the owner, they will follow the agreement, and to make sure that this agreement will be useful in the court. If there is a dispute, it should be affixed with the stamp duty as well.
I see. So the contract needs to be validated, actually.
Right.
That's very important you say that, because in Switzerland, a contract is a private affair, and the contract is always legal in court. You know, even if it's only orally and we agree and somebody else is a witness, this is already a contract. You don't need any stamp or whatever. So in that sense, that's a very important advice.
It's important to have a stamp duty, but if you don't have it, you need a very good lawyer.
Yes, okay, that might cost.
And again, we have a last scenario, last case study, renting a townhouse. So there are similarities with renting a condo, of course, but unlike condos, there is no juristic person, which is let's say the entity managing everything, the common areas, for example, electricity, internet, water, so you have to do it by yourself. It is also recommended to do due diligence also for townhouse or landed property rentals, understanding what the rules are, the fees, and verify parking availability. It's also important to verify the title deed and building permit. And if signing with an agent, it's important as well to have power of attorney. We have many cases in which we had Swiss nationals or foreigners that were not physically in Thailand, and they needed to do all these checks, due diligence, and have someone to represent them with the landlord. So this is important work to be done to ensure that your rights are enforceable also in court. And again, these are all the major points that we wanted to make today. It's a very short time frame. I wanted to highlight the fact we have published a December 2025 Thailand Foreign Property Report. It's available. The embassy will make it available. And there are several, I think, points that can be useful for property investors as well. From our side, we've been assisting for over 26 years with property investment. So there are several, I think, good opportunities to purchase properties in Thailand. But the most important thing is to think about the structuring. Again, there are some things that we think should be avoided at all costs. Now, for example, having a company with nominees just for the purpose of buying a property. This is definitely a no-go. So everything must be checked prior to purchasing, legal due diligence, checking the title deed, the ownership, if there are encumbrances, mortgages, leads of any sort on the property. And of course, ensuring that the transfer is done at the land department if there is a purchase. So these are all the elements that we wanted to cover today, and we'll be more than happy to delve into the specifics in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, both of you. This has been a great introduction. We see with these explanations, there are some complications. Es gibt auch einiges, wo man muss aufpassen, wenn man hier ein Haus oder eine Wohnung kaufen in Thailand. But there are solutions, there are lawyers, and many people go for that option to buy property in Thailand as a foreigner. And now I have the privilege that a very prominent Swiss national in Thailand actually is ready to join us and to speak about his own experience as a property owner here in Thailand. Mr. Josef Schnyder, elected representative of the organization of the Swiss abroad, property owner himself in Thailand. He will tell us about his property purchase in Thailand and some of the additional aspects maybe from his personal point of view we should take care of, you should take care of if you consider buying property in Thailand. So, dear Josef, the floor is yours. Bitte schön, Josef.
Ja.
Danke vielmals für da zu sein und für uns etwas zu erzählen aus deiner Perspektive.
Ja. Danke, Pedro. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I will tell you a bit about my experience buying a property in Bangkok. I decided to come to Thailand in 2018 on retirement, early retirement actually. That means my perspective to stay in Thailand was long-term. Now, at that time I lived in Russia. I didn't know anything about the real estate market in Thailand. I wish I had known you, Gerard, or you, Luca. Of course, I had no contacts. So first thing, I had to do a market analysis to see what is on the market, where are the prices, what can we buy. So we did that. We started taking an agent. The agent showed us 3 apartments. We didn't like them really, so he showed us another 3 apartments. We still couldn't take any decision, and the agent was just not interested anymore. I guess you work differently, but as I said, I didn't know you at that time.
Yes.
So we started to look ourselves online, on internet. We traveled to Thailand 3 times, I think. We looked at probably 40, 50 different places, new condos, second-hand condos, houses.
So before even living in Thailand, actually, you just traveled here and said, if we move here, we want to buy.
Yeah, I lived in Russia at that time, so we took a couple of days, came to Bangkok and spent the whole day or the whole days looking at property objects. Then there was, of course, the question, well, shall we rent, shall we buy? When you rent, it's easier. You can leave anytime. If you have a bad neighbor, you just leave. But of course, you have to pay rent every time. And that was before COVID. I found rental in Bangkok is very high, very costly. It dropped afterwards. I was lucky. I had the cash. I left the company. I had to cash some stock options. I had some savings from the 3rd pillar. At that time in Switzerland, you had to pay negative interest on money on the bank. So it was pretty clear, well, I'd rather buy an apartment, also as an investment. Of course, I could have bought stock, go to the stock market, get dividends and pay the rent from dividends. But my exposure in the stock market was already big enough. So from the perspective of risk distribution, I decided,
nicht alle Eier ins gleiche Körbchen, oder? Wenn man pensioniert ist vor allem.
to buy a risk, of course, was, I knew that's the devaluation of the Thai baht, which actually devaluated. When I bought the apartment, the Swiss franc was 32, 33 Thai baht. Now, as we know, it is around 40. But okay, that's the risk you have to take. And I think the most important thing is the psychological aspect. It's nice to have money on the bank, but it doesn't really make you happy. If you have a nice condo, this is your condo, your property, you can do whatever you want. For me, that was important. I wanted to be somewhere. It was my retirement. I wanted a nice place. I wanted to be happy there. So the decision was to buy, and we decided to buy rather in the center, because we thought the resale value, the resale possibilities would be better in case we wanted to resell. If we have a condo somewhere in the outside Bangkok, I think it's difficult to resell. Yeah. We bought the condo near Asok, which is a nice place actually. Then there was the question, shall we buy a house or a condo? I was thinking about the house, I go to pension, I like to do gardening. Then when I saw in Bangkok the temperatures, I thought, well, maybe gardening is not the best thing. I saw the traffic jams, and my partner is working in a clinic. He had a working contract. So it's not very easy to travel from the suburbs to the center every day. So the decision was, we buy a condo. And of course, the main reason is you can, as a foreigner, you can buy a condo legally. You get the title deed. This is not the case with the houses. We looked at houses. They proposed us these legal constructs, a bit shaky, company with nominees. And
we heard about that. Huh?
I didn't like that. I knew the problem actually from Russia. In Russia, foreigners also couldn't own land, and I had some friends, they get into big problems there. So I was aware of this, and I didn't want to do something half illegal, half legal here in Thailand. Good. Finally, we decided to buy this condo. Again, I didn't know anything about the laws in Thailand, so I asked the embassy, the Swiss embassy, if they could recommend a lawyer. The Swiss embassy gave us a list with a number of lawyers. I contacted one, and then I think they did a good job. They did the due diligence of the property. Are there any irregularities, encumbrances? They assisted us with the purchase agreement. They were checking if the quota is available for foreign property. Yeah, it needs, I think, 51% Thai owners. And finally, they were assisting us with the transfer of ownership. I did a power of attorney, so basically I had nothing to do with all these headaches. That was a good thing. It costed some money. I can't remember how much, maybe 60,000, 70,000 baht. The payment, as I said, I had the cash, so the payment was in cash. I think as a non-resident foreigner without work permit, I couldn't get a credit from the bank, but I didn't look at this option. One problem was, of course, I didn't have a bank account in Thailand. I didn't have a Thai bank account.
You bought here without even having a bank account?
The developer, the seller, there was a big company. He helped me to open a bank account with the Bangkok Bank. I don't know how legal that was, but it worked. I had my bank account, and then I could transfer Actually, I transferred Thai baht from Switzerland to Thailand. Now, of course, the money came from a Swiss franc bank account in Switzerland, but I could convert, I could fix the exchange rate in Switzerland, which was a better exchange rate than just converting, sending Swiss francs and then converting it in Thailand. So that saved me quite a lot of money. And there were some particularities, I remember. I had to precise on all banking documents that these funds are for the purchase of that particular conto in my name. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that has to do with the FET form, financial exchange transaction form. And also it had to be exactly the amount as stipulated in the sales contract. That went quite smoothly. One problem arose that the bank in Thailand wanted to know where the funds are from. I had to deliver a lot of documents. How did I earn that money? You know, I was a employee of a Swiss company in Russia, so I had a working agreement. I had salary list, bonuses. They wanted to know if I paid taxes on this money. That was simple. I paid taxes, so I had the tax certificates. They just had to be translated from Russian to Thai. That needed some time. I don't know, maybe that was just particular with me because I had residence in Russia. I don't know if they do that for clients from Switzerland or other countries, but of course Russia is always somewhere it rings the bell. But after that went smooth. Actually, the lawyer offered an alternative. If I didn't have a bank account, he offered a client account for the transfer. That would mean I would have to send the money to his bank account in my name. I didn't really want to do that because then I like to stay in control of my money. That's it. Maybe just to mention some problems which arise later. When you buy a property, you also buy maybe some hidden defaults, construction defaults. We had water leaking when the raining season came. Every time there was a big thunderstorm, the water was dropping into our living room. And the problem was not that the seller didn't want to fix it. There was a warranty and he was willing to fix it. The problem was we didn't find where the leak came from. And it took actually 2 years to find that out. Eventually we hired a British engineer and he then explained that's the problem. They fixed it and everything has been okay since.
But do we have to imagine your apartment is in a big block, not top on the roof?
It's the second top.
Second top, okay. Above. So the water came from above, like
the water came from above, and it was a default in one of the construction elements.
So through the wall somehow.
Through the wall somehow, yeah. Another problem, as I said, there was a penthouse on top. There was a rich Thai youngster. There was COVID, all the nightclubs were closed, and he decided I open a nightclub in my penthouse. And of course there was loud music every night. And we complained, we called the police, he just bribed the police, they couldn't do anything. Finally we could get a court order that allowed us, when he made noise after 10 o'clock at night, we could cut the electricity. And that was it. He had no electricity, no nightclub, and eventually he left. That's from my side. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Josef, particularly also for this experience, how to defend yourself in a difficult situation that can arise. Of course, you need some creativity and great that worked, a positive example. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, please.
May I, because it's a very interesting, thank you, Josef, for sharing your experience. I have a couple of comments.
Great, that's our next chapter actually, comments and questions, yes.
So very important thing. So you said you transferred from your Swiss bank account in Swiss francs And the money was transferred in Thai baht into Thailand, but we talked about a foreign exchange transaction form. So what does it mean? There are three ways of transferring currencies. So presumably, so when you transfer, for example, euros from Switzerland to, say, Italy or Germany, normally you have a correspondent bank called a nostro account or correspondent account. So, for example, for your bank in Switzerland would have a correspondent bank account with, say, Commerzbank out of Frankfurt to transfer euros into Italy. So that's the same thing that happens in Thailand. So you have a nostro account, your Swiss bank has a nostro account with a bank in Thailand. It may be another bank other than Bank of Bank, for example, that receives the money. So whether it's the bank in Switzerland, the correspondent bank, or the beneficiary's bank that converts the foreign currency into Thai baht, this is still considered as an FET, the foreign exchange transaction. The bank can document that. So even though, let's say, because your bank would debit Swiss francs into your account, there'll be a conversion done with your bank, a favorable exchange rate, which you can control. But this is perfectly legal, so this can be done. Another point that we omitted, but it's I just thought about it, you can actually transfer either a lump sum into either, you say, your own account, or as you mentioned, lawyers, as we also do, may offer escrow services. You have an escrow account where money are segregated, so they're not commingled with other clients' funds. They're used for the purchase of the property, but you can also have several transactions. So yes, it is true that the most common way is with a single lump sum transfer, but it's possible to do several transfers as long as each and every one of these transfers has the same purpose, purchasing a condo unit so-and-so in Bangkok, for example. So this is actually possible. So thanks for the other case study.
Perfect. Any other comments? Gerald, how you see these examples?
I think to add to the situation arises quite often when you buy off-plan from the developer, that you will do several transactions. So that reinforces what we're hearing here. Buying experience in Bangkok, it's interesting to hear your story. Everyone has one. But I think it sounds more complicated than what we're used to normally. We would do a purchase sales agreement, we go and we get the fund transfer. I think there's another option on the fund transfer other than the FET, it's like credit advice.
Correct.
Yes, so I think only the Bangkok Bank or Central Bank can do an FET, but your bank.
Depends on the amount. So under $50,000 US is credit advice. You don't need the FET form.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's more clear. So in general, I think it's a fairly easy process compared to other, watching all your, crossing your T's and dotting your I's legally, compared to other countries, you walk in, you go to the land department, 10 minutes later, or an hour later, or how many hours they make you wait, you own the property. So here, buying and selling property is pretty easy. I'd like to add that it's not easy always to sell. So easy to buy, but some foreigners think that it's a similar market to theirs. It can take years to sell your property if it's not priced right. So that's another thing to think about if you're investing here, is it can take a little bit of time to liquidate your assets. And if you're tough on your price, it can take a little bit more time.
So it's not so much a seller's market here like in Switzerland.
No,
it's the opposite. You cannot get anything and you're very lucky if you get something.
Yeah.
But you just set the rumor that you want to buy, you want to sell, and then you get rid of it.
So I hear this as an agent. I hear like in Toronto, okay, even before it comes on market, it's sold, right? But here it's quite different, and I think it is a buyer's market. So the sellers have to be ready to look at what they want for their property. And I think what you see online and people hear stories about what the neighbor sold for. Actuality, that's not what they sold for, that's what they're asking for. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit more waiting game here, but I can also say the property's priced right, it's going to sell. It's that simple. Someone will buy it, especially investors. They're not emotional about it. They go, right price per square meter, I'm going to buy it. But while you're trying to appeal to maybe a little bit more, a fair market value, you may wait a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, yes, please.
I would agree absolutely, and it's a streamlined process.
Yes.
In comparison with many European countries as well, and it's less costly because in some countries, specifically civil law country, you pay a fraction of the purchase price in notary public's fee, which you don't do here. So say streamlined, and it's relatively less expensive. Yes, you pay a little bit for the due diligence, but it's much, much lower than what you pay, say, in Italy, for example.
And here we have a very low property tax.
Yes.
We didn't have it for a long time.
Yes.
Recently, we've added property tax. So if you're used to paying a fairly high property tax overseas, that's one of the advantages of Thailand is, I think the rough rule of thumb is like 200 baht per million baht valuation. So if you're 10 million baht property, you can roughly say, is that fair? Or?
A little tip for investors. So in 2024, there was actually a reduction of the fees, of the taxes, for Thai nationals. So if you have a Thai spouse, it may be worthwhile to buy the property under the Thai spouse. It really depends. There are some pros and cons. For example, if you buy a property, say if you buy a condominium unit, then it would be worthwhile to buy it 4.25 if it's available, because then resale price it would be generally a bit higher, and also you can sell to whomever you want. You can sell to foreigners as well. But on the flip side, there's been a reduction of the taxes for Thai nationals up to a certain threshold. Don't quote me on that. We have an update which we published also on our website about this. And for Thai nationals only, it applies for properties up to a certain price. So it's actually more convenient for Thai nationals to purchase condominiums also, but of course, landed property.
Now, there are stipulations under Thai law when a spouse, if you break up your marriage,
Yes.
this is a pitfall you need to be careful of as a foreigner because...
Good you mentioned that. We have many Swiss married here, or hopefully married.
To the legal team over here, to Luca, but my understanding is that, all fixed assets belong to the wife. The Thai national, I should say. Is that right or wrong?
Generally, if you have immovable property, which is normally registered in the wife's or in the Thai spouse's name, whether the wife or the husband or otherwise, but depends on the registration of the marriage. So if it's communal property, marital property, then even if the property is in the wife's name or in the husband's name, and if a divorce happens, then there is a presumption that the property has been bought with communal funds, and therefore it's equally split. So even though, let's say, a foreigner would not be entitled to own a house, they still have a claim on the value, half of it, yes.
Okay, good to know.
The prenuptial agreement.
Yes, that also helps.
Normally, the client, they will do the prenuptial agreement, specify that when they divorce, this property have to be sold to the other person, and what is the proportion that divide between the ex-husband and ex-wife.
Right.
There are many trade secrets which we cannot divulge, but yes, there are many ways to ring fence an investor's, let's say, economic interest.
Yeah, sure.
So basically that means if a Thai wife gets involved into buying and selling, it's good to check all the contracts, not just the buying and selling contract, but also the marriage contract properly.
Correct.
And align it somehow so that there are no misunderstandings, that there are no pitfalls following either. Okay, very good. Thank you for this vivid exchange. We now would move to the Q&A. We have quite a few questions that were asked in the process up to this event, and then we have additional questions online. Some have been answered already now through the process, and some others not yet. Let me start with the first question. So we heard a lot that money is normally transferred from abroad, and that there are many advantages actually. If you bring the complete sum into the country, then you're also more free to sell your property again and to bring the money back to Switzerland or to your own country. So money transfer is probably the better way. Now, if money is transferred from Switzerland, is it taxable in Thailand when it is transferred in order to buy property?
This is a frequently asked question, and well, it depends on a number of circumstances. First of all, foreign sourced income is only taxable if the beneficiary is tax resident in Thailand. So let's say if I live in Thailand for at least 180 days here, 180 days per year, then I would be considered as a tax resident. Therefore, I am subject to pay taxes on foreign sourced income. However, we need also to consider what type of income is it. Because in Thailand, there are 8 categories of taxable income. So if, let's say, the proceeds that I remit into Thailand fall within any of the 8 categories, for example, salaries, professional services, lease, let's say, securities, capital gains, and what have you, then those will be considered to be taxable income. However, the Revenue Code of Thailand also considers whether or not I have already been liable to taxes. So let's say, for example, I have sold a property in Switzerland and I have enjoyed a capital gain. Would I be liable to pay taxes in Thailand? Well, the law stipulates that if I have already paid taxes in Switzerland, I can use that as a tax credit, so I don't need to be taxed twice. So in our profession, we need to check also treaties on avoidance of double taxation. So for example, between Switzerland or EFTA, generally speaking, and Thailand. Point number 2, what am I actually repatriating? Because for example, let's say I bought a property for, say, 1 million Swiss francs. I have sold the property for 1.1 million Swiss francs. So I have a capital gain of 100,000 Swiss francs. But if I only repatriate 500,000, so that, is it considered as capital gain or is it principal, thus exempt from taxation? So these are all the, let's say, factors that we need to consider when assessing whether or not any foreign source income is subject to taxation in Thailand. Again, there are many ways to avoid taxation. For example, we may have segregated accounts or separate accounts for principal investment and interest or capital gains. So there are many ways to ensure that my tax efficiency is in place, that my investment is protected. And again, there might be many exemptions. So for example, I don't necessarily have to be taxed. For example, even on some income that is normally taxed, let's say that I have paid taxes in Switzerland and I send back some money because I've sold some shares held with a Swiss bank. Am I subject to taxation in Thailand? Well, the law stipulates that normally this would be cumulated with all my other revenues, both domestic and foreign sourced, and I would need to pay personal income tax. However, for some type of income, such as securities, I may opt out of the PIT system and only pay withholding tax. But if I have already paid, say, 10% taxes in another country, withholding tax or other type of taxation, that would be used as a tax credit. Therefore, I'm exempted from paying taxes in Thailand. So there are many ways to, let's say, ensure that when I repatriate or remit funds into Thailand, this is done efficiently.
Thank you very much. So that means you get your advice before you decide. Yeah. I guess this is a good strategy. Next question. Is it possible and legal to use a Thai company to purchase a unit in a condominium in which the foreign quota is already reached? We heard about that foreign quota quite a lot.
Again, that depends on what type of company. If it's a Thai company that has a real business, that is actually offering products and or services in the market, is actually used for an economic purpose, then yes, it's possible and it's legal. If it's a company just to purchase a property with nominees, then it's illegal.
Also, the double checking highly recommended.
Well, if I were to invest with a company, I would know exactly what type of company it is. So we had some clients that came to us with a similar structure. We advised to restructure the whole investment because that was not legal. unfortunately, some clients come to us when things are already done and when the deed has already been done. So we, of course, advise to be compliant with all applicable laws in Thailand to do things properly. Because again, the downside risk is that the land or the condominium or the company may be confiscated, and therefore you lose your investment.
Now we will move to questions from the audience, from you, dear ladies and gentlemen, sitting online and watching us streaming this town hall from the Swiss Embassy in Bangkok. If I sell my house on a 30 years leasehold, how can I send my money back to Switzerland? We heard about that, but more precisely, for example, let's say I bought it for 1 million and I want to sell for 2 millions. I only brought 1 million to Thailand originally, so is it then allowed to just send back the 2 million, including the gain I made?
Short answer, yes, it is allowed, because you can actually document that the money that was sent into Thailand was sent with the purpose of purchasing a property, and therefore you have a documented transaction, you have your FET, all other documents, including a sale and purchase agreement. So if you have a capital gain, what happens is you're going to pay your taxes in Thailand, because most cases, let's say most cases, over 90% of the cases, when you have a DTA, dual taxation agreement, normally for immovable properties, taxes are due in the country in which the property is located. Therefore, if you have a capital gain, you will pay your taxes in Thailand, and after deducting the taxation, then you can remit the remaining amount to Switzerland.
So in this simple example, how much would I need to pay taxes? Probably. I mean, of course, you can probably not give the fixed number, but
it's not
estimating.
Not a small amount, because let's say if I bought for 1 million Swiss francs and sold the property for 2 million Swiss francs, which is a great return on investment.
Of course, that's a very optimistic example.
Very optimistic example, but let's go with the optimistic example. You have 1 million capital gain. In Thailand, on the highest bracket, so for high earners, high income earners, you will pay 35% taxes. So you pay 350,000 Swiss francs of taxes, and you can repatriate the remaining 1.65 million to Switzerland.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Can you confirm that, Gerald, from your investor's point of view? Have you sold property and then sent the money back abroad?
Repatriate to your home country? Yes, we have. We typically use a lawyer to facilitate that transaction. To be fair, because of banking regulations, anti-money laundering regulations in Thailand, taxation regulations. Hard to know. That example was talking about a leasehold, so I'm not even sure it's a sale. But it's a transaction, so I guess we can look at it as a transaction.
All right. So good. When you work with lawyers, you're confident that it works in the end.
There's always a way.
Okay.
If we're not doing anything illegal, it's really about following the process and the procedures.
The boundaries of the law.
All right. Another question from the audience. Is it possible to set up a joint venture where a Thai owns the land and the Swiss builds the house on the land? In that case, can the Swiss be the owner of the house?
Okay, this sounds like a joint venture or a limited liability company. Again, the answer is if. Probably the answer to this question is regardless is no, it's not possible, because this would contravene the basically the Foreign Business Act. So if you're talking about joint venture, I presume that the person asking this question is thinking of a company. Again, you may not have a company whereby an individual owns a part of the asset and another owns another part of the asset. Even if it's a joint venture in which the company owns both, but if the company's only purpose is that of owning the property, then it would not be legal.
Thank you very much. Next question. In my condominium, it says that short-term rentals are prohibited. So we all heard about Airbnb, for example. Yes. Any other major restrictions for renting out our property?
If the question is for us, then we say no. Short-term rentals, any rentals which are below 1 year, normally rentals that are registered with the land department would be over 1 year, so 1 year minimum. You can have 6 months, but most rentals will be longer term. You may not have, for example, Airbnb in which you have, for example, people coming in for 1 day or 2 days or 1 week. But other than that, there are no limitations. You can actually rent for as long as you like.
But a 1 year restriction to be the minimum, that would be quite a restriction. How does that work from the practical investor's point of view?
From the legal point of view, I may stand to be corrected, but any period over 1 month is deemed long-term, meaning it doesn't conflict with the Hotel Act. So you can rent 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, if you so desire. I don't know that anyone can prevent you from doing short-term month by month. But day by day, week by week, I'm sure falls under the Hotel Act.
All right, so that's probably the short-term definition which the guest was asking about. Huh?
In practical terms, in our experience, it's very, very rare. So normally you have rentals. Yes, it is possible, but it's
usually agents don't want to do them because there's just a lot of work for a very small transaction for the agent. Their fees are based on the revenue of the transaction. So we don't do them a lot. If you own a condo and you say, as a Swiss national, can I rent it out? Am I breaking any rules if I rent it out month by month? Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
That falls under long term, at least not short term.
Yeah. In our experience, is the least I've ever seen is 6 months. But yes, you probably are in the market more than I am.
But we're not involved in transactions shorter by 6 months, but that's just nature of the business.
Yes.
It's not worthwhile.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now, we are through the questions so far that we have from the audience as well. Thank you very much for that. Before we close, I think it would be good to hear from each and every one here on the panel his final advice for Swiss nationals in Thailand when they think about buying a property. I guess that might be appreciated. So where should we start?
Me. My advice is to follow the law. So many people come here and they make the assumption that it's the same as at home, and it's not. So use an agent to help you find the right spot, the right property, and do not believe everything you hear out on the street about it doesn't matter, you can buy it, or buy it in my name, I'm a nice girl, buy it in my name. Things like this. This is where I find most problems. We deal with a lot of corporate clients and everything's smooth, everything's beautiful. We follow the rules. So I would say the biggest mistakes are people coming here taking advice from amateurs. So follow professional advice.
Okay.
Maybe that's how to wrap it up.
Okay. So in Switzerland there was once published a book some time ago, Sparer leben gefährlich. So if you want to save money, don't save it in the wrong place. Maybe you should not save the money by not buying the advice you need when you buy property, right?
I think that's fair, yes.
Okay. All right.
If you want to find how expensive something is, hire an amateur.
Okay.
Try.
Okay, good. It's good to hear that from you. I mean, from Luca, I didn't want to hear that advice, so you can give us a different one.
Well, yes, do things legally and plan for contingencies.
Yeah.
So before you decide to buy, think about what transferring money from Switzerland to Thailand may trigger. So do your tax planning as well. Consult with a professional that would understand, which property would be the best suited for your needs. Consult with a legal professional and a tax maybe advisor as well, and make sure that you don't fall into any of the traps that we mentioned in this town hall.
There's one point that maybe we should point out to viewers is that buying a property does not give you a free ticket to enter Thailand. It's
Correct.
not a visa.
Correct.
There are some visas that are tied to investment, but don't think that if you buy a property, you're going to be able to walk in and start living in it. You have to attain the right visa.
To that, another case study, too many today, But we had a client, a European national, with a property here, but he resided in Indonesia. And he bought a property, he thought he could come and go as he pleased. He was stopped at immigration, sent back to Jakarta, so he could not go into his own place. So again, there are some visas that are necessary even though you don't live here. So for example, there are long-term resident visas that you can apply for even though you're not resident in Thailand, but that would grant you peace of mind whenever you want to come.
Yeah. So
Thank you very much.
property are separate things.
Yes.
Yeah. Joseph?
Well, I think I agree with you both, do it legally, do it correctly. If you don't know the law, take a professional, take a lawyer. And the second thing I would say, if you buy a property, you have to understand a bit the market. You cannot just come and listen to the agent.
The bar beside you.
You have to get a view yourself of the market. What is the value? I think that's very important. I have had several properties in different countries, and I have to say, I always, at the end of the day, I sold them with a profit. I made some money, but I didn't buy properties just blindly. I always did the due diligence, and then a little bit my gut feeling, maybe, yes, that's a good place, that's not a good place.
Great. Wonderful. Now we understood very well what due diligence actually means, ladies and gentlemen. Es bedeutet nichts anderes als Hausaufgaben machen. Il faut faire ses devoirs. Machen die Hausaufgaben, bevor ihr etwas kauft. Due Diligence, wie kauft man ein Haus oder eine Wohnung in Thailand? Das muss man zuerst studieren, genau anschauen. Und wenn man die Regeln genau beachtet und folgt, dann ist das sehr gut möglich. Aber man bleibt ein Ausländer. On reste un étranger dans le pays, donc il faut suivre toutes les règles et il faut très bien faire ses devoirs et analyser l'environnement de l'achat qu'on veut faire avant qu'on transfère, avant qu'on commence l'aventure. So if you do your homework, your due diligence, it is possible buying a property, an apartment or a condo or a house in Thailand. Thank you very much for all your advice and for your very professional explanations. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, dear public, dear Swiss citizens and other interested people watching this show, we conclude this town hall. And I thank you all for your interest. We heard some very valuable insights from the professionals here on the panel. And let me just mention that this town hall also was recorded and it will be accessible shortly online. Thank you very much again. Thanks also to the team for supporting this endeavor. And I wish you a great afternoon and a good time. Take care. Goodbye, everybody. Wieder schauen. Macht's gut. Bonne chance.